I'm Raymond. You're watching RPadTV, and we are live on this fine Wednesday. I don't think we've ever streamed on a Wednesday before, so that's new. Here with Michael and Paul, and we're going to talk about Daredevil Born Again Season 2. Michael, it's your second time on the show. Happy to have you. How are things?
Good, man. Good. I appreciate you, thinking of me about this opportunity. The whole born again thing was different. It wasn't what I expected, but in hindsight, I'm glad.
I
really glad.
Definitely want to unpack that because that sounds like all kinds of interesting. But let's check in with Paul first. How are you
I'm good.
How was your
I'm sorry?
No, how you had a what?
I had a Bangladeshi burrito today.
Oh,
details.
Yeah. It's basically it was sort of like a mix between a burrito and a wrap, but it had chicken tikka. But it was Bangladeshi chicken tikka, so it was a little different from Indian. And then it also had like rice and tomatoes and lettuce, but the sauce was more of like the kind you get in a wrap, like like kind of like a salad dressing kind of sauce. Yeah. So
interesting.
Yeah, I like trying new foods sometimes.
Yes, and
if it's something like that.
Big fan of South Asian food in general, and Larry says Paul and his food.
Yep.
And Bangladesh is interesting because I always get confused on when to say Bangladeshi and when to say Bengali. And I used to have a person that was Bengali correct me all the time, but now I don't, so I can get away with it and be food racist. But so Daredevil Born Again, this is interesting. I think we all enjoyed the first season to various extent, but I had a major problem with the split because there were two production crews and they kind of like Frankenstein season 1 together. Season 2 is entirely Dario Scardapane, who I think was responsible for the best parts of season 1. So I was super excited to see what he did with a full season on his own. And for the most part, I am satisfied. Before we get into the nitty gritty, let us break down our Blue Sky reviews. Paul, kick this one off, please.
Okay. Last night's episode of Daredevil Born Again was an exciting end to this thrilling second season. And then I said a bunch of shit that doesn't matter.
Michael, what do you got?
This season 2 finale of Daredevil Born Again landed rock solid. Resolution of great subplots, bananas action, and interesting speculation about the future.
Very, very much so. And I said I really enjoyed Daredevil Born Again Season 2. The fight scenes were glorious. The leads were fantastic. And Bullseye was delightful. Looking forward to more Matt Murdock, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and others in Season 3. Now, Michael, I'm already curious when you said the show wasn't what you expected. What did you mean by that?
Well, what I meant, Ray, was this. When I think Daredevil Born Again, I think Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli. And I think about that whole arc where, when I first even heard the show was announced, I think about that scene in that comic run where Kingpin is working out and he thinks he's thoroughly destroyed Matt Murdock. Yeah. And they basically put him in a cab, pushed him into the East River or wherever. And he keeps saying, there is no corpse. There is no corpse. And at the very end of one of the issues, Kingpin basically realizes that a man without hope is a man without fear. And when I read that, that was kind of my expectation. But, when I went into actually watching the show, I was like, okay, this is good. This is good. There were a few times where I was like, you stop being so reluctant to fight, because you can kick most people's asses in the room. Just stop, just embrace it. I mean, don't be so reluctant. But
Catholic guilt is a very heavy thing, which is
they got that part right.
Yeah,
They
that's
sure
pretty
got
much
that
the
part
defining quality of Matt Murdock as a superhero.
right. Yeah.
But one of the outstanding qualities of the show, of course, was its action sequences, and this season had some amazing ones. Paul, if you picked one as your favorite, which would it be and why?
I that would be a really really tough thing to do because there were so many good ones.
Yeah.
You know, the one that really struck me though, I think because I wasn't prepared, was the one in the last episode when Wilson Fisk just lets go
Oh my God.
and just slaughters
Yeah.
like it literally was like if you remember the Rogue One when Darth Vader showed up and he just kicks everybody's ass. It was like that, but like if it was R-rated and you could like show like he picks a guy up and just like
Yeah.
slams him against the corner of the wall. I mean, like I was like, oh my God. And he had humor about it. Like, because he was like, surprise.
No, he said
Bam!
boo, literally.
Boo. Thank you.
Yeah.
Boo. Like there was, yeah, but he was so pissed and like, and I was like, when he gets into the sort of vestibule and like he's up on that thing, and all the people start running towards him. Matt Murdock's like, no.
Yeah.
I thought Matt was doing that because he's like he's gonna kill you all, and I thought for sure like all those people are dead. Like I'm like, okay, all those people are dead. And it was only by sheer numbers that they managed to swarm him and get him down. And then once they got him down, but like that was just a brutal scene.
And I love that part in particular because he made a point of saying, you know, being responsible for a position that millions of people voted you in. And in the end, it was the same people that took him down at the end. So I love the symbolism of that. And also, we were reviewing Maul yesterday, or spoilers, Darth Vader's in it. I'm sorry, I can't get around it. But I'm like, wow, we got like 2 Darth Vader kick-ass scenes in 1 week. How about you, Michael? I mean, out of these scenes, which was your favorite?
The one where I think Daredevil and Kingpin fought in Kingpin's basement.
Yeah.
And I think it was as visceral as you probably gonna find. And I was focused a lot on that painting he was sitting in front of for some reason.
Yeah.
But that fight, I mean, that was kind of like when you split open your hands when you punch a wall or something like that, man. That was a really visceral fight. And Daredevil gave as good as he took.
Yeah, and for me, that fight was very much a comic book come to life fight.
Yeah.
Like if the panels of a page could realize themselves, it would be that. A lot of people point to the Prison Break fight, the fake one shot they did. I admire that technically because it flows like a one shot, but it's not. So you have to be very deliberate about where you cut and how you edit that, because you don't get many chances to do that right. But my favorite was Bullseye in the diner. I just loved that character. I loved how deranged he is and that he actually thinks he's a hero. That line he says, "Don't worry, I'm a good guy." And the stupid smile, like you believe that he believes it, even though it's totally not true at all. But just the cool, things with throwing forks and turning a cherry pit or cherry stem through a straw into a deadly projectile.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that fight. It didn't have much in terms of consequences like the fights that you guys mentioned, but that I found that one really entertaining. But I love that all these fights are really different from each other and gave us something very unique. Whoa. JPK Mets, Justin Killian. It's a voice from a past that I haven't heard from a long time. So, are you shaking the pillars of heaven tonight? Yes, we really shook the pillars of heaven, didn't we? Wang. That's one of our favorite movies. We're both Big Trouble in Little China nerds. Justin is an old New York friend of mine, and he's actually an old schoolmate of a guy we all know, Gordon Bellamy. So yeah. And he was the one that told me that Gordon's nickname in school was Gord Beast. So I love that information. Next time you see Gordon, please tell him that. Larry says, I didn't like how they let him get overwhelmed at the end. He should have just kept tossing him around. I think that would have been funny, but at some point, logic had to kick in.
That's a good point, because you think, I mean, from what we all know about the Kingpin, he's kind of this unstoppable force of nature, but I mean, at some point the weight of numbers isn't even against him,
right? Especially because it's not established that he's any kind of mutant or meta or super being. He's just really large guy.
What they could have done in that scene is he starts to throw people around like he did before, but then he's like, starts to eventually he'd get tired, because that's it's exhausting throwing somebody against a wall with such force that you shatter their head.
Paul clearly has experience in this area.
Oh, when I've been in fights with 20 people, I know that after about 18 or 19, I start to get tired.
Yeah, but
you're picking people up. It's like, in the moment, the adrenaline's pumping, but
yeah, I don't think, I mean, I don't think there was any deliberate symbolism here, but it did seem like towards the end of this series, Kingpin was just tired, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just tired. I mean, everything was coming apart at the seams, and kind of had his IDGAF moment,
Yeah. He's like, well, he lost his wife. He lost the city. He pretty much lost a trial that he wasn't even on.
Yeah.
He had a bad day. Let's talk about our favorite characters. Michael, who was the standout performer for you in season?
Oddly enough, again, kind of, and rightly or wrongly, comparing it to the comic book story arc, Karen Page.
Oh,
and looking at her, not just here, but throughout her evolution, in the Punisher and other stuff, it's like, she's in it to win it, man.
Yeah.
She's in it to win it.
I initially was concerned that they were going to Mary Sue her too much, because, she becomes an expert marksman and, a hand-to-hand combatant all of a sudden, but it all made sense. They showed her training with the Jeet Kune Do dummy in the first few episodes. And like her scene with Matt, I thought that was really powerful when they were arguing about, killing or not, killing Bullseye or not. I thought that was fantastic. And she surprised me because I didn't have high expectations for her, but I thought she rocked it. So totally agree with you there. Paul, who do you got as your favorite performer?
I mean, I agree that Karen was a standout, but I was expecting it because she's been so good in the series up to now. And I would say the same thing about Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock, and Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin was really, really good. The person that I wanted to highlight was Matthew Lillard, he was just a really fun character, and just, it was, you put him up against D'Onofrio as Kingpin. Like, we've talked in the past about, like, there's some people that it's really hard to, like, be in the same room with, as an actor. Like, holding your own is really tough. And I thought he absolutely held his own in all those moments, like almost like sitting there, like mocking him, like not in an overt way, but like just kind of like, yeah, sure, Kingy, like whatever, blah blah blah. And I thought he did a really, really good job in that. So that for me, he was kind of the standout, because like, lately, the last few years, like when I think of Matthew Lillard, I think of Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
Of course, yeah.
And if he had been Shaggy from Scooby-Doo in those moments, it would have been like,
wow.
So.
Look at that deep cut. Lillard rules since serial killer days.
Wasn't he an SLC Punk?
Yeah, he was. You're right.
Yeah.
That was pre-Scooby-Doo.
Yep.
He's like the Chris Jericho of acting really good forever. Well, not according to Quentin Tarantino, who says he's a shit actor, like who was him and Paul Dano, right? That was the other
Paul
one.
Dano.
Yeah.
And I like both those guys. Fun fact: Matthew Lillard is actually friends with showrunner Dario Scardapane, and they are in the same D&D group. So I thought that was a
Cool.
pretty
Cool.
nerdy thing.
Also,
Yeah.
I guess fun-ish fact. I actually worked with Paul Dano while I was at DC. He wrote the sequel. He wrote a sequel on the Riddler based on Matt. What's the guy's name?
Matt Reeves.
Matt Reeves, the Batman. Yeah.
Very cool. So mine is going to be kind of a cop out, but D'Onofrio is so good in this role, and the layers he brought to Kingpin. It's just such a cool mix of, being super violent and angry, but he also has this childish temper. And he does have a genuine love for New York. It's blending all these things in a way that previous Kingpins did not. The childish aspect of his character, not childlike is a better word for it. That's something I haven't seen before in a portrayal of Kingpin. And I love that layer that he adds to it. It just makes, he's fucked up, but he's so damaged that you kind of feel sorry for him in some scenes. And it's hard to get empathy for a character that vile, but he manages to do it. And he's just so good. Like him and Charlie Cox, I think they're the most tenured Marvel actors in terms of hours they put into their characters because of all the Netflix series seasons. And now they have 2 seasons on Disney Plus. So they should be good at these roles for now. And as this brings us to our next section where I want to talk about our favorite dramatic scenes. Mine was Kingpin at the hospital when Vanessa was dying. And I know it spans like 2 episodes, like when she is dying and when she's dead with the beginning of the next episode. Right. And he just like totally murders the doctor.
Same, man. Same.
The doctor's trying to comfort him, and I'm like, "Oh, this is not going to end well for you, man."
Well, what was crazy about that for me was that I really had hoped that Kingpin wouldn't Kingpin. I really did, but as soon as he went in for the hug, I was like, "This dude's."
That was the best. Bring it in.
Yeah, I mean, and I was like, "Damn, that's." My guy was like trying to show some empathy and sympathy, and you broke his back.
Yeah,
that's just fucked up. That is just wrong.
And then what did he say? Something like she went to the beautiful darkness that awaits us all. Or no, he doesn't want to hear your poetry, man.
that probably didn't help him.
You're just digging yourself deeper.
Yeah.
Paul, how about you? Out of the dramatic scenes, which is a nice balance of the action.
The 2 that you guys have already talked about, the scene, like you said, with Kingpin in the hospital, and the scene where Karen and Matt just have that sort of real argument. The other one, it was a very short little scene, but I thought it was really interesting and good, was when Luke Cage comes home at the very end, and he sees his daughter, and Jessica's sort of reaction was kind of like, "Are you okay? Are you doing it anymore? You're not? Okay, now we can hug."
He's not, though. I love his voice doesn't have the usually sounds like Michael. Michael Coulter usually sounds like Michael Schelling, but his voice in that scene, it sounds like a little broken, like he's done some fucked up shit.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a great scene too. What did you guys think of the trial? Was it too close to A Few Good Men where he can't handle the truth? Or because Dario calls that his A Few Good Men scene. So
I mean, it is a little, I mean, real trials don't go like that. And so whenever I see a overly dramatic, whether it's in, whether it was that or the one in A Few Good Men or whatever, like it, or like something where like, someone's badgering the witness and all of a sudden the witness goes like, "I know he didn't kill him because I did." Like, it's like, that doesn't, I mean, it's not realistic, but like, it was fun to watch as a scene. And especially because like you knew you were sitting there going like, he's gonna fucking do it. He's gonna fucking have his like moment, and he's gonna say, "I'm Daredevil."
Yeah.
And my thought when he did that was, oh God, is somebody in the back gonna stand up and go, "I am Daredevil," and it's gonna turn into a Spartacus moment? And I'm like, oh, please don't do that. Like,
see, I was hoping, because in the comics he had Danny Rand stand in for him when people thought that when people knew he was Daredevil, he had Danny Rand Iron Fist going around being fake Daredevil. So I thought they were going to do that. But as soon as he started folding up his walking stick, I'm like, oh, he's going to throw that shit in like as Matt. So, that took away my dream of Danny there. But Michael, what did you think of the trial?
I thought the trial had all the drama and gravitas that, like, all those TV trials had. Like you said, Few Good Men, Inherit the Wind, all that, had that heaviness to it. But I do like that he was gangster enough to, fold up his stick and just chuck it around the room and catch it. Just so you know, I'm not lying.
Yeah. And then Officer Powell, he looked happy. He's like, oh, okay. Not just a blind guy didn't just beat my ass. It was Daredevil. That's okay now.
Yeah, I can live with that.
Yeah. We have another comment for Justin on our Paul Dano argument. Tarantino's takes have gotten shittier in the last 5 years. They really have. What is that about? He's in his subclinical dementia phase. How old is Tarantino? He's not that old, is he? Isn't he like in his 50s?
I don't know, but he's something. I just feel like he's going to end up being like Howard Hughes, sitting in the dark, collecting his toenails and all his waste products in jars or something.
I was just saying, like, as a person that successful and that creative, you got to get detached from the real world at some point, and this just might be a sign of him going off the deep end. Yeah.
I still want to know what his Star Trek movie was going to be.
Yeah, me too. And it's funny. He has that obsession with kind of period pieces, or if at once upon a time in Hollywood is any indication. If anybody was going to do a spiritual successor to Enter the Dragon, I wanted him to do it.
Oh, yeah. Instead, he got Bruce Lee's ass kicked by a white guy. So that was disappointing.
Yeah, that was disappointing. But that said, I am looking forward to the adventures of Cliff Booth too.
Me too. Now, it's not all rainbows and sunshine on Born Again season 2. There were, of course, aspects of the show that could have been better, or aspects we just didn't like. Michael, what is your number one complaint about this season?
I could have had less Catholic guilt.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's too much. You just wanted him to get over himself and kick ass.
Yeah, just do it. We get the fact that you don't want to have to do it, but just embrace it and do what you got to do.
Extreme times, right?
Seemed like it to me.
Yeah. How about you, Paul? What did you dislike about this season?
You just said his name, but I don't remember it. The head of the task force guy,
Powell.
I wanted him to go out harder because he was such a fucking cunt.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a glee in his face when he was hurting people.
Yeah.
And I just really wanted him to go out better than just a one smack and go down. Or at least make it like that obvious that that's how much of a bitch he is, that one smack and he goes down. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the infamous Danzig gets punched video.
I have not.
Oh no, but okay. I'm looking for that shit.
So for people who don't know, Glenn Danzig is like a punk rock singer, and he's a big muscular guy, and he always like talks all tough and whatever. And then one time somebody shot this footage of him backstage where he was talking to somebody and mouthing off or whatever, and the guy sucker punched him and he just dropped. And it was like one of those like, okay, that's funny. But that's what I wanted. If you're gonna knock him out with one punch, like make him really look like a bitch, or do something different than kind of what they did. the other thing that bothered me the whole season was I wanted to know how this fits into the larger MCU. Like, they don't mention like anybody really. Like where was Spider-Man during all of this? Like, where are the other superheroes that are around? Like, New York. Like, why isn't like, the city's tearing itself apart and like nobody kind of shows up? Like, and maybe there's an explanation for that. I'm sure there's like a financial behind the scenes making of movies a reason for that. But I would still like to know, like, why didn't Doctor Strange like show up? Like, why doesn't anybody mention, like, they're in that trial and they're talking about vigilantes, and like nobody says anything like, hey, wait a minute, the Avengers saved the universe.
Right, but I mean that can be applied to all street level comics in Marvel, because technically the Sentry could solve all their problems in
right, but like they could have at least sort of acknowledged, like I was waiting actually in the courtroom scene for somebody to say, well, the Avengers like saved everybody, and then to have somebody else say, well, there's a difference between a superhero saving us from like an alien and some guy going around beating up muggers.
I mean, they don't explain that in the comics ever, so I wasn't expecting that.
Well,
the Spider-Man reason that there's rumored reasons that he might not be in the state at this time, which I think we'll see in Brand New Day early on. But that's just conjecture.
Right, but they could have said like, well, where's Spider-Man during all that?
The Punisher, I think, will be explained next week why he wasn't active. But what other heroes are still around? I mean, Luke Cage was spoken for. Danny Rand will be explained next season. Jessica was here.
Right.
So,
well, you have Doctor Strange. He's around. I mean, Spider-Man's kind of the big one, because I was like, why did he would have shown up at some point.
He would have made the most sense, because he is more street level than Doctor Strange, who at this point isn't the master of the mystic arts right now. It's Wong.
Right. So, okay. So where was Wongers? And
Wongers was hanging out with Madison watching The Sopranos. Yeah.
Right. Yes. But yeah, I didn't. It's funny. I guess I wasn't supposed to think about that, because I really didn't, think about like the New York incident or any of that stuff. It was just, okay, if they're firmly if they're firmly establishing these people as, kind of their street level guys, and I think obviously they have much bigger plans for Spider-Man than something like this. The one now, as I mentioned, I think the way this kind of panned out opens up a lot of, it tied up a lot of subplots, but it also gives you a lot of chance to speculate for, what's next. I mean, to me, bringing all these other guys together, just kind of screamed a Defenders reunion of some kind.
Oh yeah.
And the more that you talk about fake Danny Rand, Ray, I think that is very likely to bear itself out.
There's a good chance, yeah.
Since Matt's still in jail, if I recall correctly.
That's right, and he looks happy about it. Oh, going back to Paul's point about Powell, I mean, his comeuppance could happen in season 3. He's still alive. He's in jail with Matt, so maybe, hopefully, something bad happens to him, and it's
I wanted in that moment.
I totally get it
to be
totally
something a little more than just like bonk, and then
I totally with you.
And meanwhile, like Wilson Fisk is sitting on a beach somewhere, just got. I mean, I know, but I mean, I'm sure he's still dealing with the trauma of Vanessa and his failed plans, but.
Right. I want to get into that.
Enjoy that.
I want to get into his fate specifically later, because I do think he's really miserable on that beautiful island. My least favorite part of the season was pretty much any Heather Glenn scene. I love the character of Muse from the comics. I hated how Muse was in season 1 of this show. And spoilers, they've already shown set photos from season 3 where Heather becomes Muse. So I hate that they're going this far from they're still keeping up this character. And I hate it more because I actually like Margarita Laviva, who plays Heather Glenn. She also played one of the mothers in Star Wars: The Acolyte. Mother Corrin, I believe, was her character. And I also like calling her Margarita Leviathan for no reason. But you know, she became a crooked pawn of the Fisk administration. She gave up her. The psychiatrists take a Hippocratic oath because they are medical doctors, aren't they? Because they could prescribe drugs.
I think so. Yes.
I think you're right. Yeah.
But she throws all that shit away. She doctors her papers. You know, she lies about Swordsman and Karen Page in her reports. I don't know. I just wasn't entertained by this character. And I hate it because I love the Muse character from the comics. And I love this actor. And I just wish she did well with the crappy material she was given. I did like when she throat punched that other lawyer, Hockner.
Oh, the DA.
Yeah.
Yeah. With that, I was like, whoa.
So I'm like, okay, that was kind of badass. I really dug that punch. But yeah, I don't know. Is it just me? I mean, Michael, you seem to like Muse.
I like Muse, but I'm worried that it's going to be one of those things where we see it, but then we don't see it again for a while. And in some cases, I mean, I'm probably a little too close to this only because, I have in various long boxes and God knows where else, every issue of the Miller Daredevil books. And I know what Heather Glenn was kind of like there. But I mean, if they had to give her a reason to actually matter and be relevant to the story, I suppose that's as good as any.
That's true, because in the comics, she kills herself, right? I think she just hangs herself.
I think so. Yeah. And
she doesn't become Muse in the comics, by the way.
Right. Yeah. And now that I think about it, I do kind of scratch my head in terms of, okay, what was the whole point of the White Tiger?
To have little girl White Tiger join the Young Avengers?
I mean, maybe there's a Young Defenders. I don't know. I mean, I guess it served to move the plot along, but
I will stick up for that character for totally illogical reasons. I like that the actor's like 5'0" and she just looks funny fighting crime especially next to like the Kingpin, who looks like 2 feet taller than her.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know. I mean, it just seemed like, okay, well, we're going to put this character here long enough to kill him.
And it is not the White Tiger, the brothel run by the Wing Kong in Big Trouble. That is the White Tiger Inn, which has nothing to do with the vigilante known as the White Tiger. But that would have been a cool tie-in. Larry also adds, the whole task force folded way too easily, too. Yeah, but it makes me wonder, though, if any of them really had morals. Like, I equate them with Ice, and I don't expect those guys to have, the highest character either. So maybe that was the point. But physically, yes, I agree with you, Larry, on that one. What did you guys think? Where was that? Them being in jail, was that enough for the task force? Or
I think it will really center around what happens with Powell next. I mean, not Powell. What was the guy's name? The head of the crazy guy that got basically knocked out with a gun butt. Was it Powell?
Oh, Powell. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Powell. I think that will, we'll see what that looks like, because it'll give them an opportunity to actually focus on that character more. I mean,
right.
He was like the engine that drove that whole thing, and he was the good little soldier, and but he had, clearly had some personal motivations behind it. So,
Right.
Let's see what kind of trouble he makes for Matt Murdock in season 3.
We will indeed. Guys, next I want to talk about a major change that was actually added in post-production that really changed the fates of one of those characters. But before we get to that, I want to remind you guys, please follow Michael on Blue Sky. Tell him all about your favorite vegetable. Tell him about your least favorite vegetable while you're at it. It's etsycelogreen.bsky.social. There's also a direct link in the Facebook and YouTube descriptions. So please give Michael a follow there.
Paul, it was the first thing I could think of when I got on Blue Sky.
I love it. It totally works for me.
It's certainly better than Kirkman. Sea Green. Or Kirkland, whatever the crappy shit.
Signature.
Is it Kirkland? Yeah, Kirkland.
Yeah.
Okay. Or
Costco.
Or Temu or whatever.
Temu is the new way to say it now. Although Etsy could be like a handcrafted artisan CeeLo Green.
Yeah.
Is that what Michael is now?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I'm on YouTube, Mr. Killian. So please like and subscribe over there too. Why not? Paul, you have another story you want to talk about?
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, but just been plugging stuff left and right on here, which I very much appreciate. But I wanted to talk about this book that I'm interviewing the author. It's going to run next week. It is, I actually have the book with me, but Ray's got the cover. Ignore All Previous Instructions, which is a science fiction novel by Ada Hoffman. They wrote a really great sci-fi space opera trilogy before. This one is a little different. It has absolutely, positively nothing to do with what's going on in the world today, because it's about a future in which a media conglomerate uses AI to control the media, and this person gets sent on an adventure when they run into some pirates who smuggle human-written stories. Like I said, no connection to anything going on in the world today, nothing at all. But if their first 3 books are any indication, this is going to be a really good one. A lot of fun. So I'm very excited for that. And that's going to run probably Monday.
Can you tell me more about what the title means? Because it sounds like my life philosophy, basically.
I mean, the idea is that like the one of the main characters like is sort of a rule follower and like is involved in like the sort of using like everything must be done with AI, and so like anything that's written by a human is illegal or not illegal, but like sort of suppressed. So I think the title refers to things that like the AI, that she may have, the character may have inclinations to do something, but like the AI is like, no, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. We're changing, we're changing the instructions on you, kind of thing. So I think that's what it is.
And is the author related to Gabby Hoffman by any chance?
No, and neither are they the assistant district attorney.
I did not know there was a. Okay.
Now, whenever I see the name Ada, I always think ADA. So, because I watch too much Law and Order.
Sure.
Okay, because I was like, the Americans with Disabilities Act. What?
No, I was actually the same place Paul was. Law and Order.
Yeah.
Dun dun. Oh wait, is that the right show?
Yeah, that's the right show.
I think that's every show.
Because I think of Ted season 2 when he's in the courtroom, just ending everything with dun dun.
Yeah.
Justin changed channels to YouTube. He's got the mascot there and everything. Very crafty, sir. Oh, Trevor Hoffman. Forgot about that relief picture from played in the 90s.
Padres, right?
Yeah. We lost John Sterling yesterday, the longtime Yankees radio announcer.
Oh, no. Oh, man.
I mean, I've listened to that sports announcer more than any other in my life. So that's a sad one. Like him, and when Bob Shepard died, that hit me. He was the stadium announcer at Yankee Stadium. So Yeah, that.
See, I go back to the days of Phil Rizzuto.
Well, Bob Shepard announced like Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris at the
Oh,
same.
wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
and
man.
all the way up.
I was gonna say, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ray.
I would love him complaining like, I hate when I have boring names to say like Steve Sachs. There's nothing interesting about that. Like, give me a Shidagoshi Hasagawa any day.
There you go. There you go. Well, your wish has been granted currently, but it was Nirvana here in LA, man, because at one point you had Vin Scully on the Dodgers, you had Dick Brattenberg on the Rams and Angels,
Oh,
and then you
wow.
had Bob Miller on the Kings.
Who was the Lakers back then?
Chick Hearn. Oh God, I don't know how I
Chick
forgot
Hearn?
that. Yeah,
Wow.
Chick Hearn. Yeah. So I mean, that was like, man, just turn the TV off, turn the TV the fuck off, and just listen to these guys, and you'll be good.
Okay, Justin says Sterling was a good one. Jeter was super. I will disagree with you on Jeter here, because after Bob Shepard passed away, when Jeter would walk up to the plate, they would play a recording of Bob Shepard announcing Derek Jeter, and I love that. I thought that was a nice touch. And yes, Justin does say it was Chick Hearn back in those
Chick
days.
Hearn.
Yeah. So. Oh, wait, I have to do my promos. Forgot about that. So, guys, you want to be a good Catholic boy like Daredevil or a good Jewish boy like Paul and like and subscribe to this channel. You want to be drinking from an RPadTV tumbler like Paul is now, which you can find on Amazon.com, along with these excellent t-shirts like this I Have Friends Everywhere t-shirt. You can be certified guapo. Or you can have this Filipino Americans t-shirt with Joe Coy, Olivia, Haley, and me. And I love that Olivia Rodrigo is becoming the primary Olivia in the world. So we can forget all about that awful, awful person, Olivia Munn, who was just ruining the name. I should clip this, shouldn't I? Off topic. Why does Paul have a solid black rectangle on his wall?
Oh, it is a painting, but you can't see it's sort of dark on black, and you can't really see what the painting is of in this video.
It's porn. Stop lying.
I'd sell for an interdimensional portal myself.
Wow, and I went to porn. that shows where our respective heads are.
And you always did go to the deep end of the pool, though. That's what I love about you.
Uh-oh. Justin is Team Munn. I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if you can be my legal counsel anymore, Justin. Love how Bob Shepard said Alvaro Espinoza.
Wait, is Olivia Munn? She's not currently married or divorced to John Mulaney, is she?
Yes, she stole Mulaney over COVID.
Yes,
Mulaney was still married. Yeah, I don't want to get into it because that.
Yeah, I get it. I don't want to bring up any old wounds.
I will go an hour just on that, but we have more important things to talk about, like Daniel Blake. I love this character played by Michael Gandolfini, Tony Soprano Jr. He reminds me so much of his dad, but he has this doofus charm that I find really endearing. And I thought he played it really well, because there were times where he played the dumbass, but he also was smarter than he let on. And you weren't sure if he was being totally manipulated by Kingpin or if he was going to be true and be a good friend to BB. So I didn't know which way he was going to go. But originally he was supposed to survive this season. And they CGI'd his death in post-production. Paul, what did you make of that? Well, what did you make of the Daniel Blake character, and what did you make of that change?
I was completely unaware of that change until you sent me the advance notice for our topics today. I didn't know that was like a thing. I found him to be an interesting character because he seemed like, unlike some of the people in the Kingpin administration, he seemed like a true believer. Like, I don't even think the guy who killed him, like, I think if push came to shove, that guy would kill Kingpin. Like, that guy's only in it for himself.
Right.
You know, Whereas I thought that Daniel was like a true believer and thought that what Kingpin was doing was good and right, and but he also wanted to fuck BB, so you know,
Oh, she's
his
a very
dick kind of
attractive,
got in the way.
very attractive woman, very intelligent.
Yeah,
great body.
hey, you know, we all do stupid things for love, but I thought he was really good. I didn't know, like, the minute like that scene started, I'm like, oh, he's dead. God
I thought he
damn
was
it.
going to die in after when he was in season 1. I'm like, well, this is the patsy right here. So I thought
Yeah.
somewhere along the line he had to die. But from what I was told, or from actually no, not what I was told, what the showrunner said, he didn't tell me this directly. He was supposed to survive, and he was going to tender his resignation to Stephanie, who becomes the mayor that we see give the key to Spider-Man in Brand New Day. But she does not let him resign because she doesn't trust him and wants to keep an eye on him. So he was supposed to survive in season 3. Michael, what did you make of this character and the, I don't even know what you call it. It's not retconning.
I think at first, for me, just he was thoroughly unlikable. Typical kind of smarmy guy, and over time, he kind of recognized what was going on, but it felt like he was still trying to keep his hand in some way,
Right.
so he was kind of last man standing. And it didn't really, unless I missed something, I didn't really, I didn't really I connected his feelings for BB and vice versa, like right towards the very end. I was like, okay, well, I don't, I mean, maybe this will be the thing that makes him realize that, he might be in too deep or, back the wrong horse. But, when it was kind of the thing where I'm pushing you away from me for noble reasons so you don't get hurt, trying to keep you out. But
yes.
I don't, I'm not too busted up over his death.
I actually would have been angrier if they let him live, because so much of this show, the theme is balance and the scales of justice. You have Kingpin and Daredevil. You have Foggy dying, so Vanessa had to die because she ordered it. Bullseye keeps talking about balancing the scales. So Daniel's big sin at the end was letting BB go, and there had to be a price to pay for that, which was death. If he just let BB go and still lived, I'm like, well, the show's about balance. So I would have been annoyed if he had lived in some respect. I would have been happy he returned because I like the character and actor. Because like you said, Michael, he is unlikable at first. He's like a frat bro, but then you learn more about him, and he's just like this schlub from Staten Island, that all this sudden has this sweet penthouse apartment, a cushy job, and money. And he comes from a modest home. And when we get to see him go home for his mom's birthday, he has the Stuyvesant shirt. It's high school. He was on I think it was a debate team shirt he was wearing. So debate team shirt, hoodie. He just seems like a normal, cool dude from Staten Island. And
it definitely humanized him, I mean, because I can't be alone and just thinking this guy's just, he's just total navel limp. But it was, and that was one of the things that I kind of liked about the series. There were so many subplots to explore, and and everybody could find something to latch on to. One of the things that we didn't talk was did you guys know BB was that? Did you have any suspicions that BB was that?
Oh, me immediately. She was the fake Kingpin, because the body was so small. I knew it was a woman, and it made more sense to be BB than anyone else.
Yeah.
So that was my. How about you, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, I figured that out pretty quickly. Although it was one of those things where I was like, I think it's BB, but maybe not. Like, I could see it being like one of those things where they kind of like lead you to believe it's someone and believe it's someone, and then they do like a switcheroo. Like, but I don't know who else it could have been. Like, I don't think it was that little White Tiger kid or anything like that.
Yeah.
She's 5 foot nothing. She couldn't even.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Frame.
Yeah. So it wouldn't have surprised me if like we learned that it was the woman who I don't know her name, the woman who works in the mayor's office and is the aide.
Oh, Stephanie.
Like, yeah. Like that would have worked for me too. Like the guy who killed everybody, no, that wouldn't work. But like,
I did like how when they were filming Kingpin's final address from the courthouse, it almost looked like a BB report episode because it was all makeshift. It wasn't a planned shoot or anything. I like how and then she had the video ready to go amazingly. And to interrupt that, let's ignore that logic problem for a bit. Paul, I wanted to talk about the complaint that you had. You didn't like that it didn't feel tied in to the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right.
It's maybe not for the next 2 movies, but there are definitely signs there. Like Mr. Charles is working for Val. He says her name on the phone, so he appears to be rounding up some Dark Avengers. I wonder if they're going to have Bullseye, who's on the plane with him at the end, or he's no longer Mr. Charles. I think she calls him Mr. Robertson or something. And he's all happy that he has his million miler flyer status. I'm like, bitch, I got that in my 30s. So I don't know what you're so happy about. But I mean, there are ties. I think they're tying it more to the mutant saga than anything else. The speculation is that Shaggy's character is playing Henry Peter Gyrick, who I don't know, that would make sense, but it doesn't. The way he was acting is not the Gyrick in my head. Gyrick to me is like this by the books, really uptight human being. We kind of heard Paul's take on this. I want to hear more of it, but Michael, how do you feel this show tied into the MCU as a whole?
For me, I don't think it needed to. I'm perfectly okay kind of keeping the street level universe away from the larger MCU. I mean, I think just and as long as it's a light touch, fine. But there's no, like, for example, looking back at the court scene, and talking about kind of the vigilante versus Avenger thing. If I had seen Captain America walk in there, I'd have been really fucking disappointed.
That would have been weird.
I'd just been really disappointed. But I'm okay with it. I mean, I don't. I think that the universe they're building for, this group of characters works fine. I'm curious to find out, who is going to be the next big bad for them to deal with, because I think it's a reasonable guess that we're looking at some kind of Defenders 2.0.
Yeah, for sure.
So who would they go up against?
Maybe the Dark Avengers.
I don't know I don't recall what the status of the Hand is right now.
Right. Well, we'll see them in Brand New Day if the screens are to be believed.
Yeah, no kidding.
Or it could be, the excuse they have is like, oh, Jean was just, messing with Spidey's mind. So they could show us, like Spider-Man adventuring in Oz, beating up the Lollipop Guild or something like that. It would make total sense.
I think also, I have a question for you guys. If we're talking about this kind of more street level universe, what are your thoughts on seeing Moon Knight and where he might or might not pop up?
I want to see more of Moon Knight in anything. I like that character. I also like, and they make fun of this in Ultimate Spider-Man, I like that he wears white to a superhero fight and somehow stays immaculately clean. And, Poe Dameron is always welcomed. So if they bring back the hippopotamus god from the series, that would make me even happier, because I just love how ridiculous she looked. But Moon Knight makes total sense to hang out with, Power Man, Iron Fist. I would like to see Jessica Hennick, because she got the Iron Fist at the end of that series, but apparently Danny's coming back. I mean, we have seen set photos with Luke, Danny, and Jessica. So the actor that plays Elektra, she posted pictures of her working out, getting ripped for reasons. So I would like to see her back too. I think she's great.
The interesting thing with Moon Knight is I feel like he kind of straddles between the street level and the mystical.
Absolutely.
You know, so it would be kind of interesting to have him be like the bridge that sort of brings Doctor Strange into a crossover situation with you know, Daredevil and Luke Cage and stuff like that.
And it
although I can't see them all fighting crime together, but I could see it being like kind of like a do you remember the scene in the Thor movie when like they're trying to find Odin and like they get like grabbed by Doctor Strange and he's got that fun cameo like where he's kind of like helping, like kind of something like that I think would be fun.
It also depends who's writing Moon Knight. So at times he's street level, at times he's mystical, at times he's just insane and has, you know, dissociative identity disorder, which is my personal favorite part of Moon Knight, is that he's basically mentally ill Batman, you know.
Yeah.
Really rich guy that I guess more mentally ill than Bruce Wayne is already. I guess is the better way to say it.
That was one of the things about that particular series that you know, it didn't occur to me when reading the comics. You know, that this guy's crazy as fuck.
Yes.
You know, but I think, and it's funny that the moment that, you know, we got to see Jake Lockley, I was like, he's not right in the head at all.
That made me so happy.
Yeah.
That made me really happy. But it's also, is that too deep a cut for the mainstream, or is that just entertaining to like nerds like us?
That's a good question. I mean, I think Marvel is mature enough to kind of step in and just say, yeah, you know, the guy's got, you know, he looks like he's suffering from, you know, dissociative identity disorder, but you know, he's trying to be a superhero. He's trying to appease, you know, Khonshu.
Yes, played by the excellent Fuck Murray Abraham.
Yeah, brother's got a lot on his plate.
Well, so they've said that they're not going to do a season 2 of that show, but they do have plans for Moon Knight in the larger scope of the MCU.
Right. And
what
apparently
that means, I don't know. But
Poe Dameron is really into the character too, and he wants to come back as him. And apparently he has more creative control than most Marvel actors do for some reason. I don't know why. That's curious. But Paul, what could have made this better? Like, you didn't like how it didn't tie in.
I mean, I just some acknowledgement of this stuff, you know, like some sort of like something. I mean, nobody ever mentions Spider-Man, and we know he's like out there because at the very end of the movie, even though everyone's forgotten who he really is, like he puts on the suit and he goes out.
Right.
So, you know,
but maybe he's not as big a deal as we think he is to that
I don't know.
everyday New Yorker.
Yeah.
And plus,
I don't know.
thematically, during the Netflix days, they weren't allowed to mention anything. What did they call the Avengers thing? They kept referring it to as the event or something.
Oh, yeah, the New York incident is what they would call it.
Yeah. But like I said, I think in the courtroom scene, like if somebody had said, "Wait a minute, you know, superheroes saved half the people of the universe," somebody could have pointed out, like, we're not talking about superheroes who fight aliens and save the world. We're talking about some guy who takes it upon himself to go out and beat the crap out of everybody. Because don't forget, at that point, nobody knew that Daredevil had any kind of special skills. Right. They just thought he was a guy who went out and beat people up while wearing a devil costume. They didn't know he was blind. They still don't really even know the extent of his powers, except now they know he can throw his cane in a cool way.
Oh, this is my big complaint of why they misused Muse in the show. Is in the comics, Muse is an Inhuman, which is already a big strike of using him in the MCU.
Right.
But because of Muse's powers, he doesn't register on Matt's radar sense, so his extra sensory abilities don't mean shit when he fights Muse. So that's what made him an interesting challenge to fight Daredevil. I should have mentioned that earlier. So that is totally my fault. Michael, I did cut you off when you were talking about Wilson Fisk on the beach. Let's talk about the finale. Were you satisfied with the finale? And what did you think of the fates of Daredevil, Kingpin, and really everyone else?
Well, I guess, like I said, to see it's weird because everybody's ending involves some sort of suffering, whether it was Karen being away from Matt being in jail. And I guess now that I think about it, even the Kingpin, being kind of exiled to this island or wherever he was, and he's standing, he's free. He's standing out, looking over at a nice, peaceful, tranquil scene, but he's still kind of hurting,
Oh, big time.
Yeah. And I guess the thing about Matt and Karen and Luke, that was encouraging because I knew something else would be coming.
Right.
Without them saying it explicitly. You're pulling together Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and these other characters for a reason. So I'm looking forward to what that looks like. But I do think that the ending was satisfying for me. But it was just weird to see how I think any of us would want to be standing out in front of an island that was nice soft sand between our toes and stuff.
But he specifically said, "I hate the feeling of sand between my toes." When Vanessa was telling him that we should just run away to the island, and he hates the sand like Anakin Skywalker, another Darth Vader parallel. His wife is dead. He's away from the city he loves. So even though he's in a physical paradise, he's essentially trapped.
Then maybe that whole thing, putting him in that environment was just kind of the twist of the dagger then.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Whether it was intentional or not.
Yeah.
But also, it didn't make sense to me because the district attorney offers him that deal before he killed all these people in the courthouse.
I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
That part, I'm like, okay, so I guess he can still go to Greece or whatever island to you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sure, logic. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it was cool in the moment, but when you think about it later, you're like, he killed and/or crippled dozens of people. Like you're not letting him go for that. The corruption thing, the idea of a super rich politician getting away with corruption.
That we'll
I mean, that we all know. I mean, that fine. We're all fine with that, apparently.
Well, on legal terms, I'll allow it.
I'll allow it. But to kill that many innocent people, and then when he was in the sand, I was half expecting it to pull out, and he's not actually at the beach. Oh. He's in a cage, and that's just a projection on the wall or something.
Larry did not like Happy Jessica with daughter and Luke. I mean, I've read so much of these comics that I love that family unit, especially with hot ass Squirrel Girl as the babysitter. But I did like this touch, when they're holed up in the courthouse, when Jessica finds the whiskey bottle. When we get to the next scene, or 5 minutes later, most of the bottle's gone. I didn't notice the first time I watched it, but the second time, I'm like, yes, that's my girl. So she's still the crazy drunk woman, Larry, but she's also a mom, so she's trying.
I loved it when she shut the door. It said Alias Investigation.
Yes,
that was
because
cool.
I was like, oh, because that would be a fun show if they did that.
Those Alias books are so good. Now there's a lot. Matt's ending. He's in jail with all these agents that used to try to kill him. I keep wanting to call them ICE agents, but they're the task force. But when they show him in his jail, they close the window, so it's almost like the confessional that we've seen him in so many times in church. But then he smiles at the end. I was almost getting like that Rorschach feeling, like, oh, you guys are trapped in here with me. So
Yeah.
Yeah. But it also, told me, okay, he has a plan.
yes,
He
So
has a plan.
I like that contrast where it's almost like he's happy to be in jail, whereas Kingpin is miserable on this beautiful island. So I thought that was a very cool contrast. I also did not do my job, and we forgot to mention the Foggy flashback episode, who, even though he's dead in this show, he's still very much the heart of Daredevil. I mean, his whole shtick is why he offered Kingpin grace, as Matt called it, or mercy, as Foggy called it. He does fake his death in the comics. Do you think he'll find his way back in the show?
I hope it's only flashback. I hope it's nothing more than that, because that just kind of undoes the whole weight of season 2, if you ask me.
You're right. You got to have that balance. Otherwise, Vanessa's death, that would knock everything out of order. How about you,
especially if they knew, like if Karen or Matt knew that he had survived.
I don't think
if they didn't know, then it lessens the sort of. But yeah, I agree with you that they shouldn't. Having him come back in flashback form is good, especially if he's got that really long Kurt Cobain hair.
Hey, what if this guy had him fake his death because he was all big on the Red Hook Freeport. Foggy knew about it, so maybe he had him disappeared for a while. I don't know, just a theory. That's probably nothing. But
so, well, wait. Let's talk about Mr. Robertson a little bit more.
Yes.
Do you? I mean, I was thinking about your connecting him to Dark Avengers, and I don't know. I feel some kind of way about that. I mean, I kind of want him to. I want him to kill Mr. Robertson, to be honest, but I mean, and maybe it's just visually, but the whole kind of Henry Peter Gyrich thing resonates with me, because he's one of those. He isn't. Yes, he's no nonsense. He's tight ass by the book. But it's something about those glasses that just make me think, okay.
And we do have other characters on the raft from the Netflix show. Patsy Walker is in there. Who is Luke Cage's villain in season 1? In there?
Cottonmouth.
I'm like some snake that I can't remember right now. Zemo's on there from the Captain America movies. So you put Bullseye in there, you almost have a team.
Well, you got it. I mean, that's probably one of the benefits, I would say, probably from the earlier seasons. You've got a bench to pull from.
Yeah.
And as I've often said about, when these characters get transferred to media, in a lot of cases, you have a lot of low stakes opportunities that could really gain momentum. I think particularly in the streaming environment, Disney's kind of playing with house money.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So,
what if the Thunderbolts became the new Avengers? So what if these Dark Avengers become the new Thunderbolts?
And it could happen. It could happen.
Interesting. Oh, I just wanted to show this screen I forgot to use, showing White Tiger's height. She's such a cute, tiny thing.
Yeah, she's like, you should be dropping her off at like soccer practice.
Well, the actress pretty young. I think she's only like 20 or 21 or something. But
I don't mean to.
She looks like Haley from Modern Family, like went kick ass.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm glad I'm glad Sherry survived, by the way. And they brought back Officer Mahoney, or I guess he's a captain now from Netflix shows. I always like that character too. Let us close things out with our hopes and dreams for season 3. There are already hints of storylines they could do that they're hinting at that happened in the comics, or they could be doing their whole thing completely originally. Paul, what would you like to see in season 3?
It's more like what I don't want to see. I don't want him to be in jail the whole time.
Right.
But I also don't want him to get out in the first episode. Like, I don't want it to be like a nothing burger.
Okay, so if it's 8 episodes, when do you think is the ideal point he should get out of jail?
Like in the middle somewhere. Like have something happen in the jail. Like have there be a story there, and then he gets out. But I also, the other thing is like how does he get out? Does he get out through legal means? Is that part of his plan? Does he get broken out?
There's a tie-in there from the comics and from things that they've hinted at. But Luke Cage was dressed very dapperly, almost like he was still running the nightclub in Harlem. Or at a certain point in the comics, after Kingpin becomes mayor, Luke Cage is mayor. So maybe Luke becomes mayor next season and he pulls some strings to get Matt out. And that would take a few episodes.
Do mayors have pardon powers?
I don't know how any of that works.
I don't know. I mean, I know governors do. I think governors do. But I don't think they have them the way the president does. Like, I don't think.
No, but we also saw Wilson Fisk murder a bunch of people in a courthouse and get transferred.
True. I mean, their legal system clearly has nothing to do with us, where the rich and powerful get away with things.
How guys, did I miss the fact that was like a tribunal and not a jury trial, or was that like?
Yeah, because the swordsman, they did the same setup for the swordsman's trial, and he specifically called it out as a tribunal. Yeah, so that was also atypical, but also the Kingpin essentially declared martial law, so it was whatever the hell he wanted. So that's what you don't want to see.
Yeah, I mean, what I would like I said, I'd love it if they did a spin-off of Alias Investigations with Jessica and Luke in there, as a supporting actor
and hot girl.
But that's an interesting question. Like, who do you like? Do you bring in Squirrel Girl? Because that's so weird.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we already have a blind lawyer and a little girl with a tiger amulet. So
yeah, I guess. I don't know. It just seems like it. I don't know. Like it seems like you can get away with Squirrel Girl in the MCU because you have a talking raccoon.
Yeah.
And a tree, but like the idea of a Squirrel Girl, and also like people have talked about the idea of having Anna Kendrick play Squirrel Girl, but I feel like she's too old for this.
She is, but then there was also that girl from the AT&T commercials.
She did the voice of Squirrel Girl.
Yeah. And
but she's also kind of, she does. But she's kind of too old. But I mean, it's not like Hollywood doesn't have like young.
Yeah. Who do you cast Squirrel Girl now? And in the comments.
Wait, okay. What is her name? She was in Barbie. She was in Ahsoka. She was.
Oh, and in the Now You See Me movies, that girl?
Yeah.
Young Gamora?
Yeah. Oh God. Ariana Greenblatt.
I don't know if you can be young Gamora and Squirrel Girl and in the Barbie movie and young. That's like too much nerdiness in one person. Like she'd be way too cool to exist. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Michael, who would you cast as Squirrel Girl?
I don't know.
I'm going to go with Olivia Rodrigo.
You know who would have been good when she was younger is Sabrina Carpenter. Like, I don't know why this comes up on my Instagram feed all the time, but I always see clips from this TV show that she did when she was younger. Whoa. And she's hysterical. And she would have been like a really good feisty like Squirrel Girl.
So now we know what Paul's Instagram feed is full of.
Yeah, it's full of books, video games,
and young Disney
local
children.
restaurants, and clips of Sabrina Carpenter being funny.
Michael, what do you want to see, or what don't you want to see in season 3?
Well, no, probably what I want to see would probably be either something. Well, no, because that's a full house. That's too many heroes. But I wouldn't. I don't know how it would fit continuity wise, but like the Guardian Devil thing
Ooh,
would be fun to see.
that
That would be fun to see, and I'm sure it would make Kevin Smith's day and Joe Quesada's day.
Man, there were so many great Daredevil runs. We talked about Miller a bunch. Brubaker had great ones. Mark Waid had great ones. Charles Soule, of course.
You know what? We talked about we talked a little bit about, like, the whole fake Daredevil thing. Isn't there's a story arc where Elektra actually
Elektra is there was a point where recently where Elektra was Daredevil,
right?
Yeah.
And now she kind of still is. She's like his side, like almost kind of like Daredevil 2.
Yeah,
That could be interesting. Like, she comes back but decides to be Daredevil on his behalf, and she's out in the city doing stuff.
Yeah,
And it can't be him because he's in jail.
But where I guess where I do stick on that a little bit is, to your point, Paul, we expect him to see out of jail and back in the costume at some point.
Right.
It's probably an easier thing for people to get their heads around if it is Danny Rand in the suit, But
maybe what happens in the season is that in the beginning is that Daredevil has become such a folk hero. It kind of like, you remember in the I think it was the second Dark Knight movie when like you thought Batman was fighting people, and then it turned out it was just a guy in a Batman costume, and Batman showed up and was like, maybe that's like what they do is like it starts off where like a bunch of people are out there in Daredevil costumes, like keeping it alive, and like one of them is the White Tiger girl, and one of them is Elektra, and Danny Rand is another one. Like there's a bunch of them out there, almost like Daredevil Corps, and but they know it's not him because he's in jail, and
right. But that said, it certainly makes an argument for, do we see a return of the the AVTF in some way, shape, or form? I don't know.
No, see, what I'm thinking is that Matt Murdock gets out of jail to sue them because he's a lawyer, and it turns into a massive copyright infringement lawsuit, and then you have 6 episodes of courtrooms.
Pretty sure he's disbarred at this point.
I don't know. That's a good question. Does he lose his license over this?
For convictions for assault and attempted murder?
Well, no. Well, that's the other question though, is did he get convicted, or is he just facing trial?
We don't know, but we will learn. We'll learn next year.
He wouldn't. Well, I guess we'll learn next year.
Yeah,
he wouldn't lose it. He wouldn't lose his license simply by being accused.
Right.
And
but he wouldn't be in that because they showed him in like what looks like essentially Rikers. So,
yeah, but they might figure like, okay, he was Daredevil. We got to hide him somewhere. I mean, I do think having him in the same prison as the
task force is
a bad idea, because like they would never do that, because it just, you put a target on his back.
Yeah.
So clearly he's either in a different prison or he's in a different part of that prison. But it may just be like, look, we can't, I mean, don't forget he doesn't have any money, so maybe he can't make bail.
He has
Swordsman, or maybe he doesn't want to make
Swordsman
bail.
gave them an account, and he's filthy rich. So
true.
Access to that money.
He maybe this is part of his legal strategy. I will go to jail and admit my guilt, but here's the mitigating circumstances, which is why you should give me a smaller sentence than stuff. I don't know. I'm just
Justin, you could
spitballing.
have two girls with green eyes.
But
What does it all mean?
I think disbarment would be an interesting thing to explore, in this season, just to see, just to see how he navigates that. And maybe sometime at the end of season 3, he's allowed to practice law again.
Or does he have to change?
Oh, he goes to work. Oh, he goes to work for Jack McCoy in the district attorney's office, and it turns into a Law and Order spinoff.
Well, in the comics, when he was outed, he went to San Francisco for a bit, and he had all new adventures over there. Maybe that's season 4. Who knows?
Oh my gosh, that would be interesting.
Or maybe She-Hulk breaks him out.
It's like, hey, that could be his lawyer. They did used to bone. So.
Yeah. And I'd love them to bring She-Hulk back.
He would have a pro. In any capacity. He would do it for pro boner.
Okay. On that note, I think we're all a little tired.
So what I would like to see in season 3, I would like to see Iron Fist do something cool. I think Finn Jones gets too much shit.
Would you like to see him do it with both hands or just one hand?
He's not Iron Fists. He only has one. His show wasn't good, but I liked him in Defenders. I liked him when he was in Luke Cage. I think he can be good in this role, so I hope they find some kind of redemption for him. The thing that I really want to see that I almost definitely will not, I had some chats about this with some nerds on Marvel Reddit, but I want to see Deadpool and Bullseye fight and have it like in the comics where they're just totally ridiculous. This is during the Dark Reign days, and Deadpool has this idea. He gets shot in the head with an arrow from one of Bullseye's Hawkeye arrows. So instead of one voice in his head, he's now hearing 2. And he's in a meat locker for some reason. And the third voice tells him to be the meat. So he puts on like a pig head and he's using all this meat as armor. And then when Bullseye finds him, he's like, what the hell is this? But I would love to see that scene recreated in real life. It's never going to happen. But then again, I never thought The Boys would be on TV. I never thought Invincible would be on TV. So who knows? I want to see more of this show. I'm happy that it's all Dario's now and that he is doing season 3. We know that Iron Fist, Luke, and Jessica will be back. Michael brought up a good point. There might be too many heroes for hire in one place, so maybe we should keep it at that. But I would like to see Elektra as well. That would make me happy.
I think that they've got to cap it at that point. And Elektra is, probably the right one, because I know that there's some story. There is a Daredevil story arc where he meets Echo.
Right.
But again, it's just kind of like there's not enough, basketballs or footballs to go around,
Right. But overall, I think it's safe to say that we're all happy with season 2, want to see more, and we hope they keep it up. I hope you guys join us next week. I have to edit the Monarch review that Paul and I filmed. I'm still working on that, but also Mac will be back to talk about Punisher: One Last Kill. Don't forget to follow Michael on Blue Sky. Go to paulsemel.com and don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that good stuff to this channel. Thanks for watching RPadTV. Paul's going to make laser beams. So I guess that's my sign to make hearts out of thin air like a Saja boy. And we'll see you next time on RPadTV. Thanks for watching, guys.